So basically, to wrap this whole story up, I've never ceased to be fascinated, to be amazed at the, never-ending cornucopia of secret projects, of this fountain of secret technologies that keeps coming from the underground bases. What Al has been telling us here for several years is the story, or some of the stories that he witnessed in one of these many dozens, if not hundreds, of underground bases. We're talking for a period of 50 years ago in time. There were 25 Phoenix technology locations based on the number of Ampletron tubes, 100 tubes that they built, 4 per site. But there were dozens, if not hundreds, of other locations doing mind control experiments, doing genetic crossbreeding, hybrids, and other experiments, doing God knows what. So my feeling is that the ruling elite, the Illuminati elite of the planet, would always like to have a technological lead of between 20, 50, but usually between 50 and 100 years ahead of the mass circulated technologies. The secret technologies, the secret knowledge, the hermetic knowledge, is usually a century ahead of the mass circulated, of the mass usage knowledge and technology. These stories that the British landed on the moon at the end of the 19th century, in the 1890s, that I've been researching personally myself, I'm more and more becoming convinced that they are physically and engineeringly possible and feasible. But let's try to summarize. My feeling here on these secret technologies is that not only that there is a lead of 100 years between the secret and the mass technologies, but the question is, who is behind all these things? Obviously, the depth of this conspiracy is way more massive than 99% of the conspiracy theorists are willing to admit or to tackle. Numerous books have been published that the government started examining the aliens from the 1989. Howard Bloom published a book called Out There. To me, this is a close encounter of the sleazy kind publication. Many would move this much earlier. In the 60s, in the 50s, some diplomatic relations were established with aliens. My feeling is that aliens have been contacting our elite, our scientific, our political elite, all throughout the century, throughout the centuries, and a small handful of people had known about the existence of alien civilizations, had known about the existence of quite advanced alien knowledge, centuries ahead of the knowledge their own society was using. So, this cooperation has been going on for many centuries. If we turn to the contactee sources, to Billy Meyer, for example, the Pleiadians landed on our planet 180,000 years ago. So for hundreds of thousands of years, these contacts have been going on. And to move the conspiracy even further, my feeling is that these are not uncoordinated, chaotic, unbrokered, choreographed contacts. On the contrary, there is the invisible hand, the mastermind hand, that is coordinating all these activities on the planet. And in my opinion, this invisible hand is the celestial. These are the celestial management systems, management hierarchies that elbow each other, that arm twist each other for control of the planet. Anyway, my feeling is that if one wants to go into the higher levels of celestial conspiratology, we all remember the pyramid on the dollar bill, that the lower two-thirds of the pyramid are made of stones, of bricks, of tangible material matter, but the upper one-third with the all-seeing eye in it is semi-transparent. It's made of almost invisible, etherical, supermaterial matter. This is a good metaphor to me of the hierarchical conspirative arrangement of the universe, pyramidal arrangement of the universe, where the lower levels of hierarchies are always controlled by the upper levels of stones, by the upper levels of hierarchies, and so on until the very top. My feeling is that nothing of these secret projects happen coincidentally, happen through chance and chaotic diplomatic treaties and relations with extraterrestrial races. My feeling is that these contacts have been brokered, have been coordinated and orchestrated by the Luciferian hierarchy, because unfortunately 90% of the extraterrestrial contacts with our planet are with races that philosophically stand on the position that is taken by Lucifer in his Lucifer Manifesto, as depicted in the Urantia book. I wouldn't like to go into the philosophical side of this discussion. This is a question of entirely different matter, of entirely different discussion. So, of course, this is totally a speculation, mental gymnastics, so to speak. But still, we have to try to penetrate as deep as our mental capacities allow us, and try to bring into one total picture all these diverse happenings, technological black project happenings on our planet. I would like to have your opinion on this speculation of mine, this attempt to summarize the Phoenix and the Philadelphia Project and the long alien presence on the planet with some of these ruling secretive hierarchies, super material celestial hierarchies around the planet. What would you all think about these things?
I think there's some good ideas there. If you consider this thing from a celestial standpoint, and who may be running the show at a still higher level, I think it's very cogent and very real. And I do think, looking at some tons of books and material that's been available, that there is enough material available to support the idea of a complete web, a spider web, if you will, of interlocking directorates, interlocking think tanks, and people on this planet who take their orders from one institute as to how things are going to go here. Now, the big question is, and of course most of these people, like...
who's pulling the strings? Who
right,
exactly. Because this is on the terrestrial, material, earthly level.
Exactly.
But obviously this institute interfaces somewhere, as Tandeo in his brilliant book Cosmic Conspiracy says,
right,
that some of the members of the Illuminati Politburo border on the paranormal, as I think Alan Dulles said, in their attempt to identify these people. Obviously these are extraterrestrial, alien, or spiritual being members that materialize for the Politburo meeting and then dematerialize, and that's why the FBI and the CIA cannot locate them.
Well, I can say flatly from people I've known who are connected with the Order of the Illuminati that they aren't bordering on unusual abilities. They have them, or they're not a member of that organization. They have to be able to see through time. They have to be able to demonstrate extraordinary psychic abilities, remote viewing and all of this sort of thing, and what else, I don't know. But those abilities must be there. They must be able to demonstrate their use at any time, and of course, for what purpose? The purpose has to be to communicate with somebody off-planet. All the inputs I have say that the Order of the Illuminati is a top dog organization on this planet which interfaces with outside. And it has
done so for the last 5,000 years.
10,000 from what I understand.
And the outside aliens that come to the planet are themselves subjected to these hierarchical levels of intelligences, of attainment, levels of management, where the more advanced races and civilizations tutor, manage, or control the lower ones. And so basically they are subcontractors of higher levels of contractors that are again subcontractors to higher levels, and so on, until we reach the very pinnacle of this celestial pyramid.
That I'll agree with, because you have evident at least two different celestial systems, two different theologies.
And we have 2 more minutes.
As to who is going to run what. According to the Rancher book, you have the Trinitarians,
hierarchy,
who of course are now thoroughly embedded in the Catholic Church, and others who believe in the Holy Trinity. This is one of their symbols. And you must accept the authority of this group, and it goes on up, of course, through the hierarchy. But you then have the Luciferians, who believed in and rebelled against God, so to speak, in the Trinitarian operation, because of the fact they believed in the public and the individuals having some right of free choice. And this is what our Constitution is based on, the right of free choice. And there are some people who have traced, of course, the Masonic order, and those who were all part of it at the time of the signing of the Constitution and the creation of the Constitution, that many of these people might have some, quote, Luciferian connections, unquote, in terms of the then accepted religious orders. Well, they were Masons, and they, of course, we know the Masons go to a higher level in the 33rd degree. They do go to a 37th degree. And
this is the final minute here, so probably we'll have to
wrap it up.
And I think this is a brilliant topic for our next discussion, and probably it would be a nice idea to call Ted Gunderson as a leading authority here in Los Angeles and the United States, and probably the world, on satanic cult and satanic abuse, in order to further discuss the presence of the Luciferian operation on this planet.
You know, the satanic cults and the use of kids for their sacrifices and worships is much more widespread than most people believe, and what the true significance of this is probably is for discussion which would go on for hours.
But your feeling is that all these underground black project operation in cooperation with aliens, that the level of aliens that you personally have interfaced in your presence in the underground, that these are just the lowest levels of creatures that contact us, and that there are many other higher levels of hierarchies that control them.
Very true. There are other levels that are far beyond those of the reptilians, and people who perhaps were the actual precursors of humanity ages and ages ago, and they keep way in the background, and they don't interfere unless something is absolutely necessary to interfere about. And they have the power, and they just don't exert it unless it is absolutely essential.